doesn't take long of looking around to see that there are loads of ways to get into shape when it comes to riding, and a lot of these programs or workouts can ask you to train in a certain zone for the best result. But without a heart rate monitor, how do you know what zone you're in?
Yeah, the heart rate monitor is a simple solution to this, but if you don't have one, there is another way to know, and best of all, it's completely free. So roll the intro, and I'm going to tell you how to know what zone you're training in and why it matters.
For starters, we need to know what they mean by zone. And generally, what they're referring to is a ventilatory threshold. This idea is based on your body's desire to pick up extra oxygen and blow off the carbon dioxide while you're exercising. That way, it can clear the lactate out of your blood, allowing you to continue. So as you can imagine, in order to do that, you have to take more breaths at a faster rate. The amount of air that you breathe in and the rate at which you breathe can be broken into 3 zones.
Okay, so resting heart rate to VT1, that's zone 1, that's really going to be a pretty easy go. It's around 120 beats per minute-ish, depending on the person, or on a scale of 1 to 10, it's roughly a 3 out of 4. You should be able to sustain this exercise for hours and hours and hours on end. Another way to know what zone you're in is just a simple talk test. It's as simple as you should be able to talk no problem while you're doing this exercise. So if you're out on a bike ride, and you're able to have a conversation with somebody that's near you or beside you or whatever, you likely are training in zone 1. That's a pretty easy way to tell. In fact, if you were doing, say, like a 4-hour road cycle ride, you definitely have to be within zone 1 because you cannot sustain anything above that for that amount of time.
Zone 2 is at the onset of lactate in the blood, and this is where your ventilation and your breathing rate becomes non-linear, meaning that your breathing rate can no longer blow off excess CO2 quick enough, and that's where speaking becomes somewhat difficult. This is also referred to as your anaerobic threshold. Ventilatory 2, or VT2, can typically be maintained for 30 to 60 minutes of exercise, so a really hard workout for around an hour.
So in zone 2, or below the ventilatory threshold, or VT2, speaking is going to be pretty difficult. You can't really recite the alphabet, you can't have an ongoing conversation with somebody because your body is really trying to pick up that excess O2. So it's a fairly rigorous exercise. Now, that brings us to VT2, or ventilatory threshold 2, which takes us past and into zone 3. Now this is where things get really, really difficult. You won't be able to speak at all. It'll be all you can do to bring in that excess oxygen. Your body's building up carbon dioxide and it's trying to blow that off by exercising the lungs and getting more oxygen in there. So you can't speak at all. This is for really short duration things like sprints, or think of something that's really, really rigorous you can only do for 30 seconds to a minute, something like that, where it's really quite difficult. We won't be able to stay in this zone long because your body's building up that CO2 and it's going to pump the brakes on you really, really quick. So we know what the 3 zones are, but how does that actually help us?
So what's the point of these zones? Well, certain programs, for example the iRide supplements programs, your training is broke up into different phases. And it's done this way because you cannot train at or near VT2 indefinitely. Zones 1 and 2 have their place, and it's not just to make it easy. A big bonus of a lower zone is a sort of active recovery. Your joints and ligaments, tendons, things like that, they tend to take a beating when you exercise at higher intensities, so the lower zones just give it a break. Additionally, not to be mixed up with anaerobic, you build aerobic capacity, tissue endurance, as well as increased blood circulation and blood flow among a host of other beneficial things.
So yeah, the higher intensity zones will help us with things like anaerobic capacity, power, endurance, all that kind of stuff that helps us when we're riding. But you can't do that all the time, so don't discount the lower zones as well. Think of it like as an active recovery. If you go for a bike ride and you're in that zone 1, your body's going to loosen up, it's going to be really happy, and you're still going to have a lot of benefits that come along with that. Now, if you're thinking, this all makes sense, but I really don't know how to put it into practice, don't worry, we got you. Head to the website, www.iRideSupplements.com. There are free programs available there. I walk you through everything, all of the stuff I've talked about here. You'll have a really good understanding of it. It's really simple and it's really, really effective. So again, it's free. Just head to the website. You can download it, you can share it, you can do whatever you want with it. It's all completely yours. and ask nothing for it. I hope you liked the video. Hope it helped you in some way. Smash that subscribe button for me. You know I appreciate it. Stay safe, ride safe in the track, trailer, road, and we'll see you in the next video.